again, he's been asked a lot recently about the Packers, why they've been, well, bad. Rodgers got defensive again yesterday, but this time it was scrutiny over his head coach, Mike McCarthy.
I think it's ridiculous. I think people don't understand how difficult it is to win in this league and win consistently. The success that we've had here, it's tough to do, and we've set the standard pretty high. But I wouldn't listen to some of those people out there. I mean, they're not in this locker room, they're not in the media rooms, they're not in the practice environments. They don't know what's going on. They don't know the type of work ethic that we have here and that Mike has here.
All right, so things obviously not going so hot for Rodgers in the Pack right now. And a handful of ESPN insiders graded his season so far, ranging from a C to a B. Max, what would you grade Rodgers' season so far?
Well, anyone who gives him a C or a B is wrong. It's an A-. Rodgers gets an A-.
An A-?
Hey, smart kids
I want
out
you
there.
as
They don't
my
know
teacher.
you know what I'm talking about. I used to sometimes hand in a paper in school, in elementary school, whatever, junior high school, and it would come back a B+. And I would think, come on, that's an A+ paper. well, yeah, great, versus your potential, I'm giving you a bit. No, you don't do that. You grade it compared to everybody else in the class.
Okay.
And compared to everybody else in the class, Aaron Rodgers gets an A-. Compared to his own potential, look, it's Aaron Rodgers in his best season. 14-1 team record, as a starter. QBR of 86, 45 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Okay. That was when he was clearly and by far the best player in football, yes, including Tom Brady, who's the greatest quarterback ever. But at that moment, Aaron Rodgers, the best player in football. He is not that now. So if you want to grade him compared to that version of him, he gets a B+ or something like that. But if you want to grade him compared to everyone else, Stephen A., 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 1 game out of first place, a QBR of 72, which is the 6th best QBR in football. Now let's do this scientifically, shall we? A, B, C, D, F. There are 5 categories, okay, and 32 teams, therefore 32 starting quarterbacks. Roughly 6 in each category. So if you are in the top 6, you are in the low end of A. He is a low A quarterback this year. He can't play defense for them, too. Just can't do it. But he's not what he once was, but he is better than most. The only guys better than him this year are all in the MVP conversation. The A's and A+ so far this year. Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott on a per-game basis, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, those guys are ahead of him. Drew Brees, he's ahead of everybody else.
First of all, you're wrong. Secondly, I would give him a B. Thirdly, you're absolutely right about your point that you're not grading him against his potential, because that would be foolish. But you have every right to grade him against a resume he has already established. That's not potential. That's fact. That's what he has put forth before our very eyes for years and years and years. And by virtue of your sheer concession that he is not what he used to be, that automatically disqualifies him from any kind of A grade, plus, minus, or regular. It doesn't apply. Let's go to the B range. Let's call this what it is. Aaron Rodgers, and I keep getting on you. I can't believe with those eyes you don't use the eye test. You read numbers all the time, and I get that. I just cannot believe you still have not leaned on the eye test. I don't understand. I need these.
Are you falling in love with me or something?
I need these. You're one person. If you had glasses, something would be wrong. Something would be wrong with this world, okay? You don't need them. But listen, here's the deal. We have seen Aaron Rodgers miss passes. We've seen him overthrow. We've seen him underthrow. Whether it's to Jordy Nelson, it's to Randall Cobb, it's to Devontae Adams, or anybody else. We have seen this man miss throws he has customarily and religiously made for years and years and years. He doesn't appear to be the same. Does that mean he can't go back to being Aaron Rodgers? Of course he can go back to being Aaron Rodgers. We're just talking about what we've seen from him thus far. Last year, year and a half, he hasn't been himself. Last year, we credited it to Jordy Nelson. To a lesser degree, I think it's still Jordy Nelson, because Jordy Nelson, to me, hasn't returned to the Jordy Nelson we once knew and loved before the injury he sustained last year. Now, let's get to why Aaron Rodgers made the statement that he made in defense of Mike McCarthy, which I also think he's wrong about. If there is one thing that annoys me to the end, is when these guys want to bring up how y'all don't understand how hard we work and what work we put in. Damn it, you know that. You know this is about results. Grow up. You know this is about results. It's about what you do on Sundays and Mondays, or in this day and age, Thursdays. Whenever the hell you're playing your games. You're absolutely right. Aaron Rodgers is absolutely right about me and anybody else he wants to categorize in that fashion. We are not covering their practices. We are not there every day. We are not in film room. We don't. I have no doubt that Mike McCarthy is working his butt off. I think he's a good coach. We're not saying that. What we're saying is the greatness of Aaron Rodgers seems to be being put to waste. Giving up 30 points for the 4th time in the first 9 games, that's your defense. That's not Aaron Rodgers. You're looking at how 71% of the times you're throwing the football, and mind you, it ain't just all about a deficit because you're doing that before halftime as well. They're relying totally on Aaron Rodgers, but they're not getting it done. And I'm looking at Mike McCarthy.
They're 4-5.
Wait a minute.
They're 1 game out of first place.
Time out.
He doesn't play defense.
Wait a minute. Y'all are acting like somebody is saying, Mike McCarthy, you need to get fired. No. What folks are saying is, excuse me, this guy is one of the greatest ever. You are the head coach. Y'all have not been to the Super Bowl since 2010. It does not mean that you're supposed to get there every year, every other year, whatever. We're saying that the quarterback position is so important that if you can go 6 years without this dude, there are several coaches that some of us might look at and say, if they had Aaron Rodgers, it would be a different result. That's the price you pay.
GM.
That's the price you pay when you have somebody that great. Why y'all acting like y'all don't know this?
That may be a GM issue, not a coach issue. But I want to get back to Aaron Rodgers because the question is, what grade do you give him? And you fell right into it. You started comparing him to a standard of perfection.
I started comparing him to a standard he established.
Right.
He established.
Compared to his own standard.
I don't care who you are.
Compared to the other quarterbacks.
No.
4-5.
I have a right to do that. I have a right to do that. I have a right to look at Aaron Rodgers. And if you have a right to say that Tom Brady is going to fall off a cliff in 16, 14, 12 months from now, I have a right to sit there and look at Aaron Rodgers and say,
I'm going to be wrong.
I'm saying, Aaron Rodgers, these are the standards you have set. Has age, attrition kicked in? Are you not what you used to be?
Compared to the best version of himself, he's something less than an A. But if the question is, what grade do you give Aaron Rodgers and all the other quarterbacks this year, that means you're comparing them to each other. A minus.
I can't give someone an A that's 4-5, third in their division.
No. I am not only that.
I
am not going to ignore the greatness not only that I saw from Aaron Rodgers throughout all of these years, but what I have come and grown to expect. The fact is that ain't what we're getting. And you're looking at the problems around him, and you're saying, McCarthy, guys, help him out.
This happens in boxing sometimes. In boxing, one fighter's winning every round decisively. The other fighter starts to do better. So relative improvement gives the fighter the round. It's like if Stephen A. comes closer in a debate, people think he won the debate because I'm usually winning by such a wide margin. It's not fair to compare someone to himself.
All I know is I wish you guys were my teachers because you're generous trainers. Speaking of drugs, coming up after the break, another day and another person taking shots at the NFL. Soon it might be hits from NFL players. You'll understand later. Also, if you like Bad Santa, you are in luck because there is a Bad Santa 2, folks, and Billy Bob Thornton. He's here to preview it all.
Will you be presented by Bass Pro Shops?
Let's get it crackin'. Let's start the session. March list the competition, balls, start that action. You can never debate it. This is actual fact. Stephen A. and Max Kale said they say it's a rap. I'm like, say what? Say what? What's up with all my haters? I'm a ball when I perform. So my jersey's in the air. I'm allergic to my haters. Every morning I prepare. Lot of clothes I can wear just like them Oregon players. Yeah, quack, quack. What to do? Rap like it's nothing to it. Matter of fact, you can ask hard and I'm cooking too. Base guard cooking too. Nah, look at you. Great mind. They embrace mine like a crooked tooth. 4 takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, stop me. 4 takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, you got me.
You know what it is? It's Friday Eve. But for the man to my right, Stephen A. Smith. It is just Thursday. Max Kellerman, this is First Take.
What's up?
Friday is
What's going
is
on?
a great
Hello.
contribution to humanity.
We're into it. I try. I finally contributed to the show.
You say Friday Eve. I don't know why you be talking about that. That sounds to me like somebody that's accustomed to having weekends off, which ain't me. So there is no Friday Eve.
I'm never off either, sweetheart.
All right, well then why you keep bringing up Friday Eve?
Well,
for what?
Sweetheart.
You said that because I don't have to wake up as early. I'll give it to you that, okay? And you don't either.
That's not true.
Oh,
That's not
okay.
true.
Well,
That's absolutely
no
false.
one
That's
cares about
absolutely
our
false.
personal sleeping
There we
schedule.
go. They care about mine. They care about mine. But go ahead.
All right, not mine. Let's get into it. If Naptown was hoping to see King James in the flesh last night, they would, except it wouldn't be on the court. LeBron sat during the Cavs-Pacers game. Now, this was Cleveland's second game in a back-to-back. Friday, they play Detroit. So that's 3 games in 4 days. But after the Pistons game Friday, the Cavs have 4 days off until they face Portland Wednesday. So Cavs coach Ty Lue says the plan is to limit LeBron's minutes in January and February. Stephen A., are you okay with LeBron sitting on the back end of back-to-back games here when he has multiple days off coming up?
No, I'm not as technical as that.
Okay.
I have a problem with LeBron James sitting. I'm not paying attention to the back-to-back or anything like that. If you're healthy enough, if you could be out there cheering and what have you, and traveling with your team, you should be out there playing. It's not that he doesn't deserve rest. If anybody deserves rest, it's LeBron James. But here's the point that I want to get to. I have a problem with any player sitting out on the road and you're healthy. Sitting out on the road, and especially when you're going up against somebody in an opposing conference, Max, that's where I get rubbed the wrong way. To me, I understand you want to serve your home fans, but if you're going to sit out in an NBA season, you have 41 nights a year for them to catch you. Chances are, I know that even at home, there are people, I mean, everybody can't afford these games all the time, and that might be only one game that you go to, whatever, but you have a far better chance of seeing your star players if you take into account home games as opposed to road games. If you're playing somebody within the same conference, you're visiting them twice, 3 times a year at the most. If you're playing somebody in an opposing conference, you're visiting them 1 time. You can't miss those games when you're a mega star in this game. It's just something that you simply cannot do. I'm not going to get on LeBron James or Tyronn Lue. Listen, this is not them. Popovich did it for years. He still does it. We all understand it. This is nothing to insult or be upset about with LeBron James, who barely misses any games. I'm just one of those guys. I'm fixated on this reality. Road teams, when you go on the road, they rarely see you, and especially when it's the opposing conference. Those are games you should be, it can't be legislated, but those are games you should be doing everything in your power to make sure you play.
No problem with LeBron sitting down. And all the fans of the other team, to hell with them. You want LeBron James to even consider. So in Lou and LeBron's opinion, their chances are increased of winning a championship if LeBron rests a given day, right? Okay, that's their own equation, whether you agree with it or not. So you think that, in their opinion, they should at all in any way diminish Popoviching when a coach does it? I think it should be called LeBroning when a player does it. Part of the way LeBron has been able to cope with his physical decline, which I believe he's been in the last couple of years. Of course, when you're coming from the highest peak, you're still physically better than everyone else, even on your way down the mountain. But the way he's been able to level that decline off and stay at the kind of altitude he's playing is by realizing, he matured and realized the regular season's a marathon. Pace yourself. Take some days off. Do the right thing so that when the playoffs roll around, you got enough gas in your tank to get over the hump, which is what just happened. If anyone has the equity to do this, it's LeBron James. And in terms of the hometown fans, even if he misses games at home, that's on the road. So what? They're rooting for their team.
Right.
Even the hometown fans, make this deal with the hometown fans. Increase your chance to win a championship, but you know what? You bought a ticket and you didn't get to see LeBron live. They'd all take that deal.
Here's your nightmare. Your nightmare is the man sitting across from you who's been your friend for years, who's been your former compatriot at ESPN New York, who knows you quite well, Max Kellerman, and knows what a capitalist you are. So I just want to make sure, that's right, I just want to make sure I'm clear, because you're talking to the American public here. The American public is watching Max Kellerman.
I'm a man of the people.
I know that the election is over and we all know you lost that debate. But the point that I'm trying to make to you, Max Kellerman, is this. I must ask this question.
Rigged.
Are you sitting before a nationally televised audience and looking into the camera and telling the American people that you don't give a damn about how they feel? You don't give a damn about them being the paying customer? It does not matter to you? Is that what you're saying? I just want to be clear.
Excuse me. I don't give a damn. It doesn't matter to me. How's that?
Wow.
Clear enough?
Wow. Okay, that's fine. Now let's get back to this. You know what? I'm an old school kind of guy. I think about a Michael Jordan. I think about the Magic Johnsons. I think about Bird before that back injury really kicked in. Stars, Isaiah Thomas included, and others, they actually had and felt a sincere, genuine, inherent obligation. Kobe was that way as well. They felt a sincere, inherent obligation to go out there and to give the fans what they wanted to see. In no way am I implying that LeBron hasn't done that. LeBron missed a grand total like 16 games in 4 years during his years in Miami. The guy, I'm not questioning.
Entered Wednesday's game 6 in the league and playing time.
6 in the league and playing time, averaging 37 minutes a game. Listen, I forgot which guy it was, but I remember they were playing in Utah, and I forgot which team it was or whatever. You didn't play in Utah. You're an Eastern Conference team. They're not going to see you.
Yeah, but he cares more about the Cavs.
I want to address that.
That's what I'm saying. That's my biggest thing.
Let's take Michael Jordan out of this because he was a cyborg.
Well, what about Karl Malone? What about John
Malone
Stockton?
also was fit, but most of the other stars of yesteryear were not play. There is much more exertion in the NBA now, physically, than there used to be. Off-season training regimens, playing defense every night on every guy. You can even talk to the old-school coaches, Pat Riley, all those guys, and they'll tell you, back in the day, it's who were you going to guard that night? Today, it's you got to guard everybody. It's a more sophisticated, higher, faster-paced game.
Wait a minute.
One, two.
Hold on. Let me stay with that point. Let me stay with your point. Max Kellerman, whether it's boxing or anything else, you repeatedly and religiously defer to history. I am saying to you from an historical perspective, do you know of any star in history who sat down games and said, you know, I just needed to rest today?
LeBron is innovating in that case.
Okay.
And by the way,
this is a tough one.
Finally, you said, I just want to say this.
This really is a tough one.
You said that guys like Kobe and everyone felt a sincere obligation to play for the fans. LeBron James feels a sincere obligation to win championships for the fans of the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's his obligation.
I understand and I appreciate that point. All I'm saying is because you know you're going to be in the playoffs, that's even more additional games those local fans get to see you. The people on the road don't. My issue is the road. That's it.
I understand both arguments in this one. LeBron, though, trying to make his 7th straight trip to the finals. But we want you guys to get involved at home. Do you have a problem with LeBron sitting out versus the Pacers last night? We'll share those results and react a little bit later in the show. It doesn't get much bigger than LeBron James, but then there's his idol, the late, great Muhammad Ali. LeBron, an admirer of the boxing legend, both in and outside of the ring, jumped on the chance to support an exhibit honoring his life at the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. James Charitable Foundation and his business partner, Maverick Carter, are donating $2.5 million to the new exhibit. Stephen A., can LeBron ever be bigger than Muhammad Ali?
Never. I want to be very, very clear about that. Never. No way on earth. And that is in no way disrespectful to LeBron. And I want to make sure everybody understands that we're asking that question because we hear a lot of people bringing that question up. This is not to denigrate or insult LeBron in any way. LeBron is phenomenal, not just as a player, but in terms of his mission, his charities, you know, what the conscientious individual that he is, donating $2.5 million to this cause, you know, putting kids, guaranteeing scholarships to the University of Akron. You know, this guy is going to ultimately empower by educating thousands upon thousands of local youth. And Lord knows what he's doing nationally. So This guy is an iconic figure, and he deserves our respect and appreciation. But Muhammad Ali, civil rights era, what he meant to us as black people, and I know it's not just black people whose lives that he touched, but make no mistake about it, in our opinion, there's a lot of lives that he touched later. He touched us immediately. He basically reminded black people that we were special, that we were a great people, that we should not in any way accept being denigrated, that we deserve human and civil rights just like anybody else, that we are black, that we are beautiful, and we have a reason to be proud of ourselves. When you consider the history of this country and the way black folks have been affected by the insidious behavior on a part of America from an historical perspective, for him to do what he did for us, being a member of the Nation of Islam, speaking up the way that he did, taking on all comers, including the federal government, and ultimately winning this, and suffered through the process. A lot of times we talk about sacrifices folks need to make, but more often than not, Max, we find ourselves talking about the sacrifices folks need to make because they don't necessarily do things that are uncomfortable. Muhammad Ali, that can never be said about him. He's the greatest of all time.
LeBron James is doing great things, and he should be commended for it. And he's one of the great athletes in the history of this country. He will never be as big as Muhammad Ali, and he probably knows that.
He does.
Muhammad Ali is the greatest, not only because he was the greatest heavyweight who ever lived in the ring. Like, he had to do that. He actually had to go out and beat Sonny Liston and Joe Frazier and George Foreman and all those guys. In the greatest era ever for heavyweights, he actually had to beat all those guys. He had to be better than them, or he would not be remembered the way he is today. But in addition to that, he stood up for what he believed in. And there was a scene in the Will Smith, the Michael Mann movie, The Greatest.
Ali?
The Ali movie. Or the Ali, I guess it's called.
Yep.
Where and this is based on something that happened. It's a true story. Ali is running in Zaire, in Kinshasa, Zaire, through the alley, and he comes across a mural of him crushing a warplane, as like a giant crushing a warplane, and he realized at that moment, this is bigger than him. He's affected the entire world. And so he had to beat George Foreman, who no one could beat, and he realized it's not just about him beating Foreman. He had to draw strength from all oppressed peoples all over the world because he was their champion. Now there's more media. Right. There's more media now. And so maybe LeBron James can make more different impressions in people's minds. But in terms of the space that an athlete occupies in people's minds around the world, it will never be close. Muhammad Ali was arguably the most famous man in the world, including like Nixon and the Pope back then. And based on what he represented, I can't imagine another athlete ever being as big as Ali.
Muhammad Ali knew he would be vilified, knew he would be ostracized, knew he would be hated, and knew just as much that his financial stability would be severely compromised. I don't know of too many athletes. I don't think I know of any athlete in this day and age who will do that. I even had somebody ignorant enough to tell me that Colin Kaepernick would do that. I said, do you mean the same Colin Kaepernick that's making $12 million and the same Colin Kaepernick that didn't want to go to Denver because they couldn't work out about $400,000 to $500,000 that he would lose out on if he went there? Yeah. You mean that Colin Kaepernick? Shut the hell up.
Muhammad Ali wasn't worried about his brand or personal gain. It was the cause and it was the people.
Let's stop that nonsense.
People understand even the impact it had when then Cassius Clay, after upsetting Sonny Liston, which is impossible to do, turns to the camera and says, I'm not Cassius Clay anymore. That's my slave name. My name is Muhammad Ali. Nowadays, an athlete changes whatever, no big deal. Back then, that alone sent shockwaves around the entire globe.
And as an aside, it's important to point this out. One of the reasons that Howard Cosell was so great was because he was the first to say, you're a grown man, you have the right to be called by whatever name you want.
Back then, if someone on TV stated the obvious, it made waves around the world because people were in a state of...
well, nobody else would do it before Cosell did it. Remember
like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I also want to mention that Michael Jordan donated $5 million, Magic Johnson and his wife $1 million, also to this new exhibit.
Of course, if LeBron donates 2.5, Jordan donated 5.
It is what it is.
Game up, LeBron.
Coming up, that bad man, Stephen A., he's salty right now, and it has nothing to do with his play on the field.
I think it's ridiculous. I think people don't understand how difficult it is to win in this league and win consistently. The success that we've had here, it's tough to do, and we've set the standard pretty high.